Welcome to Sometimes You Have to Lose Yourself, a podcast where we explore the complexities of love, loss, and self-discovery. Join Charlie Perry and Marvin Speller when life's unexpected twists and turns come our way. It's easy to lose ourselves in the process, but what if losing ourselves is exactly what we need to find our true selves? Join us as we dive into the depths of human experience, sharing stories, insights, and conversations that will challenge, inspire, and maybe even help you find your way again. Sometimes you have to lose yourself. Let's get started.
Hey, welcome to Sometimes You Have to Lose Yourself. I'm your host, Charlie Perry, along with my co-host here, Marvin Speller. We are doing our thing every Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Trying to, yes, do our thing. Look forward to this special podcast. Means a whole lot to me and you, and I hope it means just as much to everybody that's out there listening to the podcast every week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
And
so
and catch us where?
what's that? Go
Catch
catch it. We you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack.
Spotify
Um,
too.
Spotify also. Yes. The what I like what I like about this week is that we were uh we were on a couple of weeks ago and someone was viewing us and ended up sending our podcast to a friend of hers
Mm-hmm.
who is going to be our guest today.
Mm.
Um, so I like when things work out like that, when we can network and or get referrals from the audience.
You
We
know,
do.
when you think about it, I mean, you think
Yeah,
about all the reasons why we're here. That's one of the reasons why. Really, just to connect with people and reach out and
yeah,
share the good word with them and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
right here we have Nicole here. Welcome
That-
aboard.
Hello.
Welcome aboard.
Hi.
That's not. Hey, what's going on? Thank you for coming and joining us on this great podcast. We love our podcast, and we love when guests like you come on, and especially when you're referred by friends of ours. And
Yeah,
uh,
please tell us about that. I'd love to hear that story.
all right, from me or nurse Nicky.
Oh,
All right, so
yeah,
I'll
that's
um,
let you I'll let you go first.
okay,
one heck of a story.
right after the podcast, at some point, I get a message that we should definitely get in touch with a friend of hers, which is Nurse Nikki, and said I think she likes your show and she'll like your show, and you need to get in touch with her. I said, well, I'll do that as soon as possible. So with my old brain, I didn't want to mess up, so I said, let me get on it right away, and I said I'll get on it, and I sent her a message and told her who referred her, and voila, here we are, and she accepted.
Here we are.
Yeah. So, and Nurse Nikki was doing a live the other day, and I was so excited about it. I was like, yes. All right, let me see the guest before the guest comes on the podcast, and
All right.
so it worked out pretty good. And other than, I mean, we all have technical problems, and things happen. I had some today on my other podcast, so things happen. Murphy's law.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
So,
but
Nurse Nikki, I love to hear your story too. I love that, Charlie. I love putting that old brain to use. Um, but Nurse Nikki, I love to hear um, how, What did you think about when you first saw what we were doing and your impressions, and who shared it with you?
Well, I was it was shared with me by Robin Lee, who was a friend of my father's. They go way back, multiple decades. So we're here in a totally different state. They reconnected, and they basically haven't seen each other in years, but they communicate by phone and video talk. So I've had an opportunity to talk with her a little bit here and there, in between time. And she seems like a very wonderful, wonderful person, very good spirited.
Yeah.
And so just based on that, and to me, I'm very intuitive, and I know when I can trust something. So I just took her lead, and was open to having a discussion, about what's going on. So based on what I had been talking about, she felt like we would be a good fit to just have a conversation and share some general mutual knowledge. Is the way I see it.
All right.
We're
Awesome.
glad, we're glad you're here. Really, it means a
Yeah,
lot.
Yeah, I'm
definitely.
I'm glad to be here. Absolutely. Thank you for the
Um,
invitation.
a lot of things that you're talking about is definitely things I like listening to. Marvin's a life coach, so he definitely tune in and the things that you talk about. So we I'm just glad you're here, and we get to create some clips from this interview, and because we're all on all the social medias, we're on TikTok, we're doing everything. So all we're doing is just sharing each other's life skills, and hopefully people are listening and learning, and that's the best thing about this.
Yep.
Um,
Listen
uh,
and learn.
yeah, let me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. A lot of times I'm reserved and closed off, and I said, let me come out of my shell and start to share because it does no good to sit, in my home and or wherever I'm at and just be quiet. I tend to share things one on one with people. If I have a
Mhm.
conversation, I usually open up that way. I said,
Right.
but that's good, but it doesn't reach as many people as we possibly can. So I'm getting out of my own way, so to speak, and opening up to help share the information.
You know what they
Because
say:
it's
sharing is caring.
yes, yes. And as a nurse, how can I not
Right.
Mhm.
share? Right. Especially when we're looking at things from different perspectives. I look at things from the medical perspective, from the holistic perspective, from the metaphysical perspective, and there's a lot of things that are not shared from the medical side that we definitely need to know in order to achieve a level of wellness. And it may take some time because these are new things that people haven't heard of before.
Yep. I 1,000% agree. That's really, really, that's truly how I think. That was like one of the first things that showed up in my life. That aspect of it. Um, after the tragedy that happened to me, that was one of the first things that showed up. It's like, okay, you got to take your health seriously.
Mhm.
You may have to approach this in many different ways. So, um, fully agree with that.
Yeah. Let me. I'm not gonna waste this beautiful intro that I did. I'm giving myself 5 stars, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Right? Let me do this. You can clip that, right, Marvin? You can clip that. Um. All right. Let's see. In this space, we talk about real life, real emotions, real healing, because sometimes before you can find yourself, you really have to lose yourself. Right?
Yep.
And tonight's conversation is powerful. It's about health, but it's not just physical health. We're going to be talking about mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and grief that comes with losing who you used to be. Our guest today, Nicky Novak, also known as Nurse Nicky. She is a registered nurse, a holistic health coach, a natural health consultant, an energy healer, and a yoga teacher. And we'll leave it like that.
You
And
sound you sound a little muffled, Charlie.
a little muffled.
You sound a little muffled when you read that.
I did. Oh
You did.
my god.
Sorry.
Let's try to straighten this out here. See, that's why I don't like moving my stuff, man. When you have mobile podcast and you move things around, you know, and where I was, people are touchy feely. Hey, that's nice. Oh, well, you adjust my volume and well, anyways. Nurse Nikki, you definitely have a beautiful website. Whoever did that website, I truly love it. A lot of information on there. Um, it's uh, it's very informative, and I'm actually going to be sharing a lot of stuff that I see that you have. So as you keep producing videos and reels and all that, I definitely will be sharing it. And feel free to tag me on anything that you're doing.
Oh,
Just
absolutely. Much appreciated. Thank you.
yeah. All right. Um, Marvin is Marvin wrote a book called Unpacking Grief, Shattered to Onward, and he lost his wife, who happens to be my cousin, Kristen, and so after years of going through his unpacking, he produced a book. He wrote the book, and the second part of the book is an audio book. So Marvin, I want you to talk about that audio book first before we get into anything.
You know, thank you for that. I started a couple weeks ago with my brother Ron, and we're gonna have him on in a couple weeks. Kind of
Good,
really
nice.
dive into what that whole process was. But you know, there was a period of time where people were like, "You should read," and I was like, "Hell no, I'm not doing that." I was like, "I don't like to hear my voice." But enough people were saying, your voice sounds perfect for that. You should do it. I said,
Exactly.
what the hell? I went ahead and do it, and it was a great experience. I added 5 additional chapters. I added some guided meditations, and I did a fireside chat with Ron. He's been around for 15 years, so he knows me. So we had an opportunity to really just to dive into this, and we put some music behind it.
Mm,
That's what I love about it. That's what I love about it the most because it's a 443 megahertz. I mean 443 hertz, which is like
Mhm.
a healing vibration.
mm,
So
Right.
we put that behind there. I want people to feel the whole experience. That's why I did that, and it's going to do very well. And at minimum, it'll tie people over until I launch my second book. So
Mhm.
I'm really excited about it. It's going to be great. We'll play with it a little bit more, and I'll launch it in a couple weeks.
Good.
awesome.
Thank you.
Cannot wait. Um, this is the book is fabulous. It's definitely I have one more book that I'm gonna gift to someone. Cannot wait to get it to her. Um,
I got
so
I got 3 coming your way.
oh, that's cool.
I just got them
You
in,
know
so
me, I'm gonna utilize it, and
please do. You
yeah.
know,
So
have you ever heard of Chris Voss? He's a major podcaster.
mm,
He's got a
I have not.
yeah, I
he's
have
got
to
a
check them out.
following of about 26 million.
Mm,
One of the people that
Wow.
worked with him called me today. She called me, and she had lost some people close to her, including her husband. And she told me exactly what I set out to do with that book was to really unpack grief, but put it in a way where people felt the rawness of it and people felt how you can go from one place to another place
mm-hmm.
and really just the whole expansion, people connecting with each other and talking about this whole thing we call grief. Um, so I was smiling when she told me because I was like, this is what I set out to do. I really set out to challenge the narrative and really get people to understand you could be at one place and be from your place of pain and make all the difference in the rest of the world. And that was what I set out to do. I didn't want to be defined by grief. I want to be defined by many different things.
Mhm.
And so it's doing what it's supposed to do. So I'll continue to share with as many people as I can, and also to find those who don't feel like they don't need to be found. That's really what I've set out to do and what I'll continue to do.
Yeah, I think grief is behind a lot of health issues. My dad was just at the clinic today and having that same conversation where he was talking with the nutritionist, and the nutritionist, could see the grief all over him, and
Right.
said, "Hey, you really need to talk to someone. You need
Yep.
to see how we can talk this out because he's been suffering for a long time silently without, a lot of outlet. So
So
people
many,
do definitely need to hear.
yeah, so many people suffer in silence, and
They do.
they don't want to come out with it. And it's kind of one of these things. I put that in my book. Is like, there's these other things you can do, but please seek the professional help, people that are trained to help you. Um, I may challenge the narrative, but I will always say, seek the help that you may possibly need, because at some point you're going to throw anything against the wall to feel better.
Mhm.
That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and Nurse Nikki, would being a nurse, there's a lot of grief that you're probably going through. I know when I was in law enforcement, it was, grief was just wasn't part of the job. I try to tell people that um you don't want to take the loss of life as a win or loss, but it um I get so much so uplifting when I save someone's life, or I did something, but a loss of life, I still have dreams of some of the people that I came across,
Hmm.
and they
Yeah. I
lost,
th-
and so being a nurse, that grief must be. I mean, it's not a routine thing. I hope not.
well, yeah, for me, I worked emergency nursing the earlier part of my career, and I've got about 15 years or so emergency nursing under my belt, and very, very busy, high volume, high acuity, high trauma area. And so I was probably just barely 30 when I started there. And we saw so much death and dying and traumatic injury and illness and sickness that you had to find a way to cope with it. Otherwise, you would lose yourself. So I feel like I have an unhealthy way
Mm,
of dealing with grief because when you see so much of it so frequently, you either get lost in it, you have to leave it, or if you stick with it, you have to figure out a way to cope. And so for me, early on, I actually I just kind of flipped the switch and not like it wasn't real, but just had to go into work and split my real life from the job. But it still carries over because even now today, if someone I hear of someone dying or something like that, just because I've seen it so much and I can see the natural progression, of life as it fades away, I don't react the same way as other people. So it's to me, it's unhealthy. I think a lot of law enforcement and nurses that work ER that's right there on the ground, EMS, we see too much. And so the way we process things may be different than how other people process things.
Thank you for saying that. And hi, Katrina. I hope you're doing well. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about, because everybody has a different way to either process it or deal with it. I don't even know, nor would I put a finger on what normal is when it comes to dealing with grief, because there's so many ways of going about doing it, and everybody gets to do it the way they want to do it, because you have to do what's right for you or what feels the best for you.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter if some people think is odd or abnormal. It just doesn't matter, because you
And
can't.
different cultures, people from
Yeah.
different cultures deal with grief differently it's based on
yes.
your culture, how you were
Hmm.
brought up, how your family or societal structure,
Hmm.
community structure looks at it, what the spiritual aspect is. If you point When you look at things like even looking at the Black Panther, the movie, and the spirituality and how they looked at the ancestors beyond the realm or the veil, so to speak. they didn't really see death as a conclusion. It was more of just still being there, but not in the physical body. So when
It's
it
a
comes to grief, it really goes to how were we raised? What are our belief system? What is our culture? Those type of things. And so you'll see Black people grieve differently than white, than Asian. It's all different. It's all different.
Thank you for saying it, because a lot of people who are in I would say the new age or next level category, they look at death as one doorway to another. A lot of people don't
Hmm.
look at it as like, this is not the finality of things. It's one stepping stone, because they say energy cannot be destroyed. All it does is transform. And
Mm.
that
Absolutely.
being that we're having a spiritual beings having a physical experience by incarnating on this level, we definitely don't die. There's no such thing as death. So that's a mindset that a lot of people really are into, whether it makes the most sense or is that level of comfort for them from them.
Hmm.
Um, I have grasped that thinking that it is one doorway to another, but also knowing that everything is energy, you have to be careful, in my opinion, how much you grieve, because you could potentially hold someone back from that journey.
Mm.
And I know a lot more people are truly understanding that
Hmm.
and feel that same way.
Yeah.
That's possible, but I don't know the answer to that. But that, anything's possible in the realm of
Yeah,
energy. I say matched up the science with spirituality, right? So science says that everything is 99.999999999% invisible waveforms and energy, and only 0.000000001% is actually the physical matter of anything, and everything on this planet, taking out all the empty space, fits into the size of a sugar cube. So
yep,
what do we pay attention to? We pay attention to the
Mm.
0.00001%, which is basically negligible and not really even here, but perceptible in the form that we are in. Everything else is invisible waveforms and energy. So there's so much going on that we don't see or perceive in our physical form. But
yep,
even in this realm, when you look at the different creatures, we all don't perceive this reality the same way.
yep,
Mm.
Dolphins can send out sonar radars, and lions can see way down the road, and eagles can see from on high way down into the water. So depending on how we're made is how we perceive the reality of this realm. So there's just a lot of things that we don't have the answers to. We're here to experience life as it is,
yep,
and on this journey. And I just, the more that we learn, um, again, matching the science and spirituality, is so much that we don't know. It's just that the more we learn, the more open I am to saying, hey, I don't know, but I'm not going to fall into saying it's not possible,
yeah.
or it just can't be because I can't see it or perceive it in this form.
You're right. There's so much merging of spirituality and science, because a lot of like the same vibration you give off from prayer, the same vibration you give off from meditating. So
Hmm.
I mean, it's so much blending of both, and
Yeah. And the
it's
body, we there's a I was reading about how we lay down to go to sleep,
mhm,
and the body is still active.
right.
And frequencies. We always talk about frequencies on here,
Tones and frequencies. Yep.
and there's there's frequencies that reach other people in your lives, and it's reasons why you dream so much, because of
Hmm.
those attachments and
Yep.
those vibes that end up linking and creating that dream or whatever. Um so when you talked about physical, it's 000 point whatever it was, right?
Right.
Mm,
11 zeros and a one beyond the
Yeah.
decimal point.
and and so when it's not physical and we're just sleeping, we create so much based on our frequencies and our soul to soul stuff and vibe. I truly like reading about dreams and
Hmm.
spiritual, and I truly love that.
Hmm.
Keeps me captivated. So, um, all right. Let me just switch it up a little bit because I want to talk about. I got a question for you, Nikki, and I'll
Okay.
put it on the screen. And it says you were diagnosed with Graves' disease after being
Hmm.
misdiagnosed for nearly 2 years. Um, can you take us back to that time and what you were feeling emotionally and mentally during that journey?
Ooh, we're going way back.
Mm.
We're going back a bit. Yeah. I back in the late 90s, I started nursing school. And, that was a stressful time. I was separated, 4 kids, back home living with mom, going to nursing school. So that was a stressor. Ended up, reunited in marriage, bring the kids back. Took about a year or so to get myself together and take the nursing exam and start working as a nurse. About a year or so later, I branched into the emergency department. So then that's a high stress environment, working the midnight shift, right? I was drinking green tea to help me stay up. So little did I know that I had an underlying issue. And it kind of started, I think I was taking an Herbalife supplement that had some catecholamine, some caffeine and stuff in. That's when I really started noticing something like fast heartbeats and sensitivity to caffeine. But yeah, so for a while, I was having symptoms working in the ER. I was losing weight. My hair was thinning out. Like every symptom you could have with hyperthyroidism, I had. And then I went to the doctor one day and they were just like, well, take some, it was a medication that they used to periactin to increase the appetite and also was an antihistamine. So because I was getting so thin, they were just like, oh, just take this, to increase your, oh, you're studying so much. You're using all the glucose. Your brain uses more glucose than your body when you're learning something new. So they blamed it on the studying and whatnot. And so with my nursing studies and with my orientation to the ER, I'm very studious. So I took it very seriously and I learned about some things. And I basically kind of like say, you know what? After going to an OBGYN because he palpated or he felt on my neck, which is where the thyroid is, but it's on the axis with the ovaries and the reproductive system. Because I was wondering, why is this OBGYN touching my neck? But
Mhm.
he felt the swelling on the one side of my neck. And so and he was even discounting it. He wasn't saying, hey, go see an endocrinologist for follow up. He just said, oh, you got a little goiter. So with my knowledge, I said, you know what? I have hyperthyroidism, and I scheduled myself an appointment with the endocrinologist myself.
Mhm.
And so that moving forward, I had radioactive iodine, and that put me into clinically hypothyroid. So I went from one extreme to the other, and so that came with brain fog, gaining weight, being cold all the time, eyes were swelling up, and that was from the Graves' disease. So just a lot of different symptoms. And what I did, because I love to delve into the natural health side and just learn as much as I can, I started reading about Graves' disease. And this was back in, I was treated in 2003. So you're talking about the early 2000s, over 20 years ago.
Wow.
Um, where I was really, starting to learn these things. And I started writing something called From Almond Eyes to Fish Eyes, because I had almond
Mhm.
shaped eyes. They got big as fish, what my journey was. But looking at the different foods and how they affect you, they're called goiterogenic foods. They will increase the thyroid or decrease thyroid activity, right? And so when you go to the doctor, any of the doctors, even up to maybe 10 years ago, I was talking to some residents, they don't teach about these foods, and so you can take the medication to replace your thyroid hormone, and then you can eat things like kale greens and peaches and pears and cherries and all this wonderful good stuff, and will actually combat your medication and like you're not on it at all. So it's been a heck of a journey because the medical team don't usually tell you about what foods to avoid. Matter of fact, they won't tell you not to avoid any of it. But I know that there is definitely some things that we need to do with our diet if we have hyper or hypothyroid to keep us out of trouble, because no one really talks about this thyroid issue. But when people have underactive thyroids and they end up gaining weight, that leads into what? Diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease. It leads into all those different things that leads to heart attacks and strokes, which would be life threatening. So we need to pay more attention to what's going on with these thyroid issues, as opposed to just, giving people a pill and sweeping it under the rug. It really doesn't get enough attention. So it's been a journey. I'm still figuring it out, because if I had known what I knew back then, I probably would not have done the radioactive iodine, but I was in such a state of illness that I just didn't know what to do at the time. And I wasn't as learned as I am now.
Right.
Mm.
The things that I know now, you know, from a holistic perspective, metaphysical perspective, I would do things differently. I would at least try to do things differently, make the attempt to see if I can handle it, and if not, then I would go the medical route.
Why do you think they don't tell us about what we should eat, things we need to do? Why do you think they don't tell
Um,
us
well, the more and more I hear about it, it's just that nutrition isn't that big of a part of the medical curriculum, right? So they go to practice medicine, they go to medical school, so they learn about the body, anatomy, physiology. They learn about the different medications to treat, you know, different things. And yeah, diet is a part of it, but it's not a huge part of it. It may be a small portion of what they get in medical school, but it's not what they do. So um, when you look at healthcare or well care or sick care, whatever you want to call it, you have medical doctors, you have doctors of osteopathy, you have nurses, you have nutritionists, you have physical therapy, you have respiratory therapy. So it's all been chunked out into different areas, right? So now, let's bring in the nutritionist to talk about it. And they're going to talk about things from one perspective.
right?
The funny thing is today my dad saw the doctor, the nurse practitioner, and he saw the nutritionist, and he said, "Well, you're underweight." Now, mind you, he had a stroke a year ago. You're underweight. You need to eat more cheese and more milk, and you need to bulk up. Okay, well, why would you tell it to a stroke patient just filling with these
Mm.
high things that could clog your arteries? And so it's a big question. Why isn't it like that? And that dives into some of the conspiracy theories, right? Is there money in getting people well? Is there more money in keeping people sick and medicine,
Mhm.
or is there more money
It
in
would it
people
would
being
appear
well?
to it would appear to be that way.
Yeah.
Like
So I won't say that that's the truth. I'm just going to say, hey, why isn't that the case? Why isn't food and nutrition a huge part of the curriculum?
like a lot of people are like taking those shots to lose weight.
Hmm.
It's a big thing right now, but
Mhm.
a lot of those
It
shots
is.
come with side effects.
Yeah.
And no
Yeah,
one.
with anything, there's side effects, and when you see what we see in the medical industry, especially in the inner city, where black and brown people suffer the most, we get diagnosed later
Right,
at worse stages, and so when people get to such a point where, hey, you need to do something now because your life is at risk, or you're at high risk of sudden death, etc., then people have to make a decision. Are they going to deal with the side effects from the medication, or are they going to keep on trying to do what they were doing, which
right,
wasn't working, to get them to a better place? And
right,
so, I don't push the natural thing hard on people. It's like, hey, you need to do what you need to do to stabilize. And I had an auntie, she was young, and she was a naturopath, a vegan, worked out. She was what we all thought was in the best of health. But
Mhm.
what she ended up having, she would always walk around with like blood pressure 240 over 150. I said, how can you be a naturopath and a vegan and have blood
Yeah.
pressure like this? And then she started having these nosebleeds, right? And so I said, well, look, you're gonna have to do something about this, because if you keep doing it naturally and it's not working, because it wasn't working, because the mindset is a huge piece of healing. And that's
right,
why I say on my website that health is more than diet and exercise, and that's because there's a mind component to it. Thoughts and emotions really define what's going on with your health. But because she had anxiety and stress and things like that, that is what overwhelmed her system, and
that's a
her
problem. What's the problem?
eating the vegan and exercising really meant nothing when her nervous system was so jolted from being anxious all the time, or stressed out. So she did decide to go to the hospital and get the medicine, because she was just spouting nosebleeds. I said, you're either gonna keep bleeding like that and end up bursting the blood vessel in your brain, and you won't be around
Yep.
to be here to do anything. So you can do the natural if you want to and see if it works, but it wasn't working. So she did the medicine, and so for those reasons, When people ask me, what should I do? I said, look, you're going to have to make a decision about what you're going to do, because in the state of health that you're in now, you need immediate fix. So when it comes to the GLPs and the different things for weight loss, I try not to judge people, because they have to make a decision for what they need to do. And some people do well with them, and
Yep.
some don't. Like, I have a best friend in Florida. She's taking them, and she's doing well. She had a lot of weight. She's working on losing, and she's doing well. Whereas I work with someone that tried it just for a week, and they started having all type of gastrointestinal issues, and they were like, no way. And I talked to another person, they were having some issues. So it depends on the individual person. And we have to look at, like, what is the physical state of a person when they even start to do some of these things. Because when you look back at COVID, they said who did the worst with COVID, right? There were people that were overweight. There were people that had high blood pressure. There were people with diabetes. By and large, or they were older, so their immune systems were compromised from dealing with the stresses of an illness on a regular day-to-day basis with no break. So introducing the COVID virus, boom, people did really terrible when they got hit with it. Whereas
Yep.
some people that were not in a poor state of health, they did much better. They didn't have the severe outcomes. So what is the state of health? What's the mindset? Um, and that's what we should really use to make a decision about which way we go when we're looking at some type of treatment modality, whether it's
I,
natural or allopathic.
I think your point of talking about your nervous system, I think being aware of that and the stresses of life, whatever direction people go into, they should
Hmm.
consider that part because, anytime you're in the parasympathetic nervous system, you got problems because you're in fight or flight. And
All the time.
you can't stay in that state for too long.
Mhm.
All the time. And that's where that meditation and breathing and prayer comes in, right? So we talked about when you lay down at night, have feelings of gratitude that puts your mind at a particular vibration and frequency, which allows your body to calm down.
Yep.
Deep breathing is going to help bring in nitric oxide to help relax the blood vessels and things like that. So getting that mindset is heavy, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. They have no knowledge about, and more people are starting to get the information, but it's not widespread. And so that is the key element that you have to work on, that people have to work on when dealing with illness, and that's what we don't talk about because we don't know
Mhm.
about it.
It's true.
And that's why
Exactly.
we're here.
Yep.
Mhm. The man, you two, I let you talk all day, man. I'm listening,
Yeah.
learning, and
Yeah, I can
the
go back to certain things about myself, where they were tied. When I learned what I learned and looked back over my life, I said, you know what? Those heart palpitations I was having, I was going to a cardiologist with heart palpitations, and they put
Mhm.
the monitor on me, monitored me for several weeks, and they kept telling me nothing's wrong. I said, I'm having like 200 palpitations per hour. That's not right.
Mhm.
And I remember when they suddenly stopped, right? I said, well, it just stopped. So I guess I am okay. But what I learned about how thoughts and emotions get stored in the body and they affect the different organs of where that gets stored at. And
Yep.
so when I learned about grief, right, we're talking about grief and depression
Mhm.
being stored in the heart and lungs. I was going through a stage of grief and depression. It was more of my marriage was not what it was in a poor state, right? So I'm grieving the marriage, I'm sad, all this type of thing. And I started kicking off all these heart palpitations, so it affected me right there in that energy zone. When I
Yeah.
came to a place in my mind where I'm like, you know what, I have to take care of me. People are going to do what they're going to do no matter what. So just stop worrying about it. And I got to a place of peace and calm. That's when my heart palpitation stopped. And so recently, maybe in the last year or so, and I've had this happen to me several times, but the last time it happened, I was sitting around, I was sad, and I was thinking about my family situation, blah, blah, blah. And I started having a heart palpitation. I said, you know what, Nick? You are doing this to yourself. Your thoughts and emotions are overtaking you. Um, and this is just a temporary emotion. So why am I going to allow these emotions to settle in, affect my physical body, make me sick
Yep.
when I don't have to? I have a choice. And so
Yep.
I chose to release that emotion, feel it, and let it go. And the heart palpitations stopped. So now I know when I'm feeling different things in my body, I'm like, you know what? What happened? What was I thinking? What was I doing? What do I need to release? Because it's not, whatever it is, it's not worth my illness. And that's what I tell people. It's not worth me being ill. It's not.
Sure, sure, sure.
That's why we get this title of this podcast. Sometimes you have to lose yourself.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because how you handle stress in life, I mean, your body is going to determine how well you live. And
Hmm.
there's so many things that's just tied to that. And they're really coming out more and more things that people can do to de-stress themselves. Deep breathing,
Hmm.
exercise, I mean, all that stuff. But you stress and worry, probably several of the worst things you can do to yourself.
It goes
Yeah.
back to the biblical teaching, right? What is worrying? Worrying doesn't fix anything. It doesn't fix anything. Why worry, right?
Yeah. Or why let your surroundings or people in your life dictate that to you?
Mhm. In the clinic, I tell people, and not just in the clinic, but I tell people, I said, look, you have to take 5 minutes a day, once or twice a day for yourself. And don't say you don't have it, because you have it when you lay down, you have it when you're waking up, you have it when you're on the toilet, you have it when you're sitting in the car. You have these micro, spots of time where you can sit and remove whatever stress is going on just for that moment. Give your body a break. Sit
Yeah.
there, breathe in deeply through your nose, hold it, blow out through your mouth. Those are techniques that help relax the body, because when you breathe in through your nose, nitric oxide builds up in the nasal passages. That then goes out into your bloodstreams, relaxes your blood vessels, brings down your blood pressure. And so if you do that for a few minutes a day, twice a day, those are things that can really help a person. The stress and those issues are going to be there, but you have to give your body a break for a few minutes a day and then get back to it, because we have to take care of things. I get it, but you have to take care of yourself too.
I agree.
So true.
1000%.
That's why I come on this podcast every Wednesday so I can kind of get away from things and rely on my good brother here to lift me up and give me the right frequencies and get me going because sometimes I need to be right here
Exactly.
and he says the right stuff for me or there's a comment in the podcast that it puts me in the right mindset. So you know, I we talk about it every week, and I'm so happy to be here. So glad to be here.
Yeah.
And we're not lying. We enjoy being here because it's our time.
Yeah.
In my house, the cat's sleeping right now. There's nobody around. Everybody's sleeping. I'm just chilling out, and I'm up here with two good people, and I truly love it.
Yeah, I just put my
So,
birds to sleep and my dad to bed.
Mm.
hey, isn't that strange how you could put a bird cage, like a bird cage, you hear noise all day,
All day.
but you put that cover over it, it's like silent. Y'all don't hear nothing. And
It's
it was
going to
a
sleep. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
my uncle.
They get
That's
it.
why I have my headphones on, because they were still chirping. I think they're they're settling down now.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Um, I wanna ask this question. I use this on the other podcast, but I think it's very important that I ask Nikki. I ask you this question: Who would you like to see on Sometimes You Have to Lose Yourself podcast?
Who would I like to see
On here, on here as a guest.
as a guest? Um, I don't know. I'm
Friend,
so.
family, some
Is it more of a person that like could benefit
yeah,
from the talk,
anybody. I
or
mean,
like a featured guest?
a featured guest would be good. Somebody that can pretty much kind of talk just like you're talking, Marvin's talking, myself,
I
just
um I have a person that I've learned a lot from. His name is Satori Seals, and he's out of Ohio. So he's
mm,
awesome. He is an awesome person, and I can't say enough about what I've learned, from him. Definitely. So he's really good. I have a young lady that's been my best friend for years. She friended me when I was pregnant with my fourth child at a
Mm,
convention. And
nice.
she's in Florida now, and she is in her late 50s right now, and she's studying to get her master's in psychology. And
Right.
yeah, she's doing really well. I'm very happy for her because she's very dedicated at what she's doing. And she got her bachelor's, and she's working on that master's so that she can do this kind of work and talk to people and help people through some of the things that they're working on with therapy. So that's her goal. So I would love to see her be able to have her voice and speak.
That's cool.
Um, yeah, I'm not too much into, different uh, figures and whatnot as far as like celebrities and things like that. I don't really follow people that way.
Hmm.
But if I sat and thought about it, I may be able to think of some people. I think Viola Davis, she had a really nice story to tell. I
Yeah.
like what I heard from her. Bought her book. I thought she has a lot to share as far as overcoming things, especially what she went through as a child and what
Right.
she overcame to be where she is now. That's a really awesome story. When I sit and think about her story, she would be great, absolutely awesome.
I
Yeah.
think we talk about Charlie every week, and what you were saying, Nurse Nikki. I think this is why I say the most important thing you could do to yourself is feel good, and and that doesn't require a whole lot, but it does become intentional at times. And
Hmm.
sometimes when you're in the right headspace, I mean, nothing could come your way or throw you off. But really, just the most important goal anybody should have is feeling good every day, because
Mm,
there's so much good that comes from that. And honestly, that's really what I really push, or the messaging I'll send to people is like,
Yeah. For a
feel
lot of us, it can be hard because I have a history of clinical depression as well. And so
I
to
get that.
feel good every day is a huge challenge for people that don't know that they have a choice or they have the chemical imbalances. They get stuck, and they
No, I
don't know
get that.
what to do.
I
Yeah. So
totally
that
get
the goal of getting there is definitely one to reach for
No,
sure.
I would never say it's easy. What I would say is that when you're in that fork in the road, it has to be intentional.
Hmm.
It has to be intentional.
Right. So I
Um,
read a book long time ago, Deepak Chopra, and it was one phrase in that book, and it would say, "You have a choice. You can choose to be happy or can choose to be sad." When I read that line, I said, "I have a choice. I don't have to feel this way." And
right.
so when I
mhm.
find myself in a slump, I say, "You know what? Stop it. You do not have to feel this way, and
That's what I'm
stop it."
saying.
And
That's what the
I have to
intention
talk
is.
myself up out of it, and
Right.
you're right. It
That's
has
what
to be
intention.
extremely intentional.
Yeah. And as long as you're aware that, hey,
Hmm.
I can do something about this, that's what makes all the difference. And
Absolutely, I agree.
I find more and more people doing something, whether it's quiet time for themselves, deep breathing, meditation, saying words of affirmation that
Hmm.
make sense to them. And, just sometimes they understand how you feel is going to determine a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's the
Believe it or
crux
not,
of it all.
Yep.
some of the best things
Yeah.
for me is just a cat nap, something like that.
Hmm.
Just to kind of slow myself down, and
That's
you
good.
know, it could be 15, 20 minutes, and I wake up and I'm a changed person for the better. And sometimes, I mean, I don't get enough sleep as it is, so if I do that, it's definitely needed.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, but man,
Yeah.
I can't I, I'm glad this all happened, right? Because for one, I gained another positive person in my life, and that's you, Nurse Nikki. And
Well, thank you.
I truly want to keep on. I'd rather have a bunch of good, positive people in my life.
It
Uh,
matters.
hmm Yeah, it
You
does
know what
matter.
else matters too?
What's that?
How much you laugh.
Hmm.
I mean, that matters so much. I mean, watch children, right? That's where I get my name from, right? These kids will laugh hundreds of times a day, um, and adults maybe 15. And some people would say, you know what, I'm the most positive person out there, but they might not show it on their face.
Hmm.
Right.
So to laugh, I mean, that stuff is just wonderful. It's like we did that. We showed that laughing yoga.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was huge because you kind of feel good. You kind of feel a little bit better when you do stuff like that.
I have to
Yeah.
check that out.
And Nikki would definitely know something about yoga, right? No,
Yeah, I know a little
Do
bit
you still
about
have
it.
that stuff, Charlie? Do you still have that
I think I do. Let me.
laughter to show Nurse Nikki real quick?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up
Yeah,
real
Yeah,
quick.
laughter is the best medicine, they say.
it
Yeah.
sure
I know
is.
my dad would turn on some comedy to try to lift his mood. Lately, I've been making videos with Sora, and I just crack up laughing. I'll make scenarios from my life, and you
Hmm.
look back on it, I just bust out laughing the way the video comes. A little 10, 15 second video. Sometimes they can be so funny.
Yeah, because we're all so busy sometimes, and just allows you to kind of kick back and reset for a second and keep moving.
It changes your vibration, your energy field.
It does big time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
y'all
know,
keep talking. I'm gonna look this up. Keep on talking.
when you look that up, it's the Callahan technique. There's a doctor, Dr. Callahan. No, that's something else. That's the tapping,
Think about.
tapping your energetic fields away. I think it's TRT.
Hmm.
I just ordered some tuning forks, and they just arrived over the weekend. I mean, about last week or so. And
Nice.
it was pretty interesting because I didn't really know how they worked. So when I received them and read the little booklet that came with it, me and the grandkids were here. We had a lot of fun with with them because what they were doing is they were changing the vibration of your energy field, and we would we were waving it around the other kids' ears and around their face and chest and stuff, and they would just pass out and go to sleep. It was hilarious. It was
Wow.
hilarious just
Imagine,
to see how relaxing those tones were from those tuning forks
yeah,
and clearing the energy field out was amazing to see like three kids just pass out.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's a technique you could just use on because I used it on myself too, and I just did. Next day I was asleep too. So there's things that we can do, and as we continue to learn, just share the information
Yeah, I mean it's always so much to learn.
because that's an easy one right there.
Yeah, it is. It's like a lot of Indians will use sage.
Hmm.
That changes the vibration in your house.
Yeah, it's also when you look at it from a medicinal standpoint, right? So sage, the smoke from the sage actually uh, kills germs in the air. It kills viruses and bacteria for up to like 30 days.
Yep.
So when it says chasing out, the negative energy, it actually scientifically is because the smoke is killing germs and bacteria in the air for like 30 days, it says.
It's true.
So
It's true.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but yoga, I learned yoga a few years ago. I came in contact with
Hmm.
some people, Satori and another young lady named Yogi Latin. And I learned, from them, went to a retreat. And from there, I just started, doing my own research and studying.
Hmm.
And I get it that yoga has a religious or a spiritual background, especially in India, ancient Africa, and things like that. But when you look at what it's actually doing, right, you don't have to have any religion tied to it.
Right.
Yoga means to unite the breath with the body, right? So we all do yoga just by breathing, right? So
Yep.
that's yoga. The postures and things like that actually stretch out the muscles in the fascia, which releases the different emotions that are locked in the body, right? So when you stretch one way or the other, you're actually releasing things. And sometimes people will go into a pose and stay there for 10 minutes and start crying. That's
Yep.
because emotions are being released that were just kind of trapped there.
Yep.
They've shown that just with the breathing and the relaxation, the brain will just not shut down completely, but different areas of the brain under PET scans and things like that, when they look, they go quiet, right? And so
Hmm.
that allows the person to go into a relaxed state where their body can relax and actually do some of the healing things that it needs to do. So with the breath work and with the posturing, You're building strength as well, but you're releasing tension, releasing the fascia. So the fascia is like a microcrystal structure that is all over the body, and that's where information is stored. It's not necessarily in the brain. It's in different parts of the body, which is why you get the aches and pains and diseases.
Yep.
So, if we take away the spiritual aspect or the Hindu aspect, or what people have issues with, and look at it from a perspective of, what does my body need? My body needs to move, otherwise it gets stiff, then you end up with other complications.
Right.
So looking at, the stretches, whether it's, people call it yoga or not, whatever you want to call it, we need to move, we need to stretch, we need to breathe,
Yep.
um, to do those things to bring us into a state of wellness. Now, as far as other things, you can do assisted stretching where people actually work with you and help you move into those different positions, which is some a technique I learned as well.
Yep.
Thai energy body work that helps open up the energy lines in the body, as well as the physical, um, vascular, cardiovascular, circulatory, opens that up, and the invisible energy lines. So when you get those energy lines pathways opened up, that helps your body to heal as well. So a lot of things invisibly that are in place that we don't know about, but there's been a lot of studies about them. And more people just need to know so that they can really, really get the benefits of holistically healing.
Yeah. Anything you can do to help people out,
Hmm.
that's pretty cool.
I think I got it. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Let's put it up here. Sorry, it took me a while because Marvin and I text a lot, so I had to go through all those text messages to find it.
That's okay.
Let's see.
Okay, 3 laughter yoga, easy exercise. Okay, I'm gonna look that up for sure. Thank you.
Let's see if we can play it.
It's been such a great conversation. It doesn't seem like it's been 58 minutes already.
Oh yeah, it goes fast.
It's not cooperating, huh?
Her laugh is hilarious.
So
Oh,
it's,
is it playing on your end?
Yeah, it,
Oh, okay. It's not playing on my end.
it isn't.
I don't see it.
No.
I'm sorry. All
I
right.
see the screen, but it's not it's just
Yeah.
silent.
Uh, all right. I'll just
But I'm definitely gonna look it up for sure.
You can always
yeah,
share that with her, Charlie.
yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. I'll share it with her. It's crazy. All right. So on that note, I'm real happy that I was able to reach out and and get a hold of you, Nikki, and
Likewise.
definitely have you on air. I look forward to seeing more of the stuff that you put out there.
Yeah,
And
thank you for making a difference.
yeah, and
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
yeah, and always feel free. You want to come back on. We're on every Wednesday. You
Okay, cool.
and you can just put in the comment section, invite me, and I'll just send you the link. You just pop on. You
Yep.
don't need you don't need an
Anytime.
invitation because we definitely know who you are as far as a professional, and we respect everything that you're doing and saying. So if you want to come on, just click invite me, and I'll send you the link.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I have definitely enjoyed being here,
And
being
we
able to
enjoy
share. And I thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
seeing me.
All right, awesome. All right, um, all right. Marvin. You have anything?
No, I think we said everything we were supposed to say.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the good ones of this year. It's a short year, but I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came on, Nikki, and
Yep. I'm glad to.
I'll I'll produce some clips out of this. I'll
Okay.
share it with both of you, and so you can use on your social media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, Instagram. I'll produce some clips out of this, and then you can use them if you want.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank,
you.
All right.
Y'all have a beautiful night.
thank you both.
You also. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Good
Charles.
night.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome to Sometimes You Have to Lose Yourself, a podcast where we explore the complexities of love, loss, and self-discovery. Join Charlie Perry and Marvin Speller when life's unexpected twists and turns come our way. It's easy to lose ourselves in the process, but what if losing ourselves is exactly what we need to find our true selves? Join us as we dive into the depths of human experience, sharing stories, insights, and conversations that will challenge, inspire, and maybe even help you find your way again. Sometimes you have to lose yourself. Let's get started.